Baby.
Yeah.
Welcome back, folks, to Meanderings, the mere mortals here. We are outdoors, we're not wearing masks, enjoying ourselves, enjoying the freedom
That's it, man.
that comes to us.
Freedom!
So a little bit of whatever comes to mind is Meanderings. We're going to talk whatever we feel like, as it is our podcast, but maybe something
no one. You do what that other person over there
exactly,
says.
but at least maybe something of value as well to take away. Maybe some lightheartedness as well. So,
I reckon so.
Let's begin it. You give me a mere mortal moment to start it all off with.
Move aside, Nassim Taleb. We have a new thought leader.
Oh, okay. Who is it?
It is our friend Joey.
Okay.
I'll explain why shortly, but it's a little bit of a play on antifragility, and it's
really
it's I would say an even better concept. Like,
wow.
No fucking around here.
I've got to say, Joey's at some level of like a savant star. Like at some point you're like, oh man, what's going on with this guy? And then bang, you're like, oh my god.
He brings the wisdom.
Cool. I'm ready to go for that one.
Yeah. So I'll leave your. Okay. I'll let you go first. So.
All right. Well, mine is if something keeps surprising you again and again, stop being surprised. So, and I'll just quickly give you a little story personally, but I've seen it. We'll talk about it later. But personally, mowing. I can hear mowing in the background, but mowing. Yeah. I used to do this all the time, where I would mow. So I would whippersnip first, then mow, and then I finish. But the end product wouldn't be too great because usually I'd miss the whippersnipping on the sides. I wouldn't do it to the right level, either too much or too little, and I would do it in the same order. I whip them first, then I'd mow, and I don't know. It was like 5 times where I was like, man, I keep doing this wrong every single time. What must be the solution? And I thought, is it the right angle I've got to do? Do I go a little bit harder into it? And then it just came to me like the other day. I was like, why don't I just either do it the other way, or if I want to get it really clean, just whip a snip after I mow as well. Like just get that really fine line and stop being annoyed by it. So yeah, if you keep doing something and it's annoying you, it's something stupid again and again, stop doing that.
There you go.
Change it around.
There you go.
But let's talk about the newfound, the new Nassim Taleb.
He's
Joey.
So have you heard of the concept of being anti-agile?
Anti-agile.
Anti-agile.
No, okay.
So the more you play a sport, the worse you actually become at it. And I think this actually describes Joey to a T.
All right.
Because he has always been, so to describe our friend Joey, so he's the most unfortunate person I ever know. Like, you're born with deformity.
Strong.
Yeah, you've had real hardships in life. You're going through the camps. Yeah. You know nothing because Joey has experienced real hardship.
Yeah,
and so basically, growing up as in high school, he was always super short, man. I can't believe how he's like 6'2", 3" now, but he
was shorter than me.
Yeah, he was tiny. He was tiny, but he loves sport, man. Most avid sportsman I've seen.
Yep.
But he just wasn't good. He had no athletic abilities at it. So he would do okay at a sport like cricket, where you don't actually have to be super athletic.
It's more about timing, technique.
Yeah, more timing and technique and whatnot. But he'd love playing golf and soccer and all this stuff. But he just wasn't good at them. But now he's sort of he's at the stage where physically wise, I would say he'd actually be able to start doing better. He's tall enough that he'd actually be able to play basketball in a certain at a decent level if he could play. But I think he has the problem, and he mentioned this to me, that the more he plays at certain things, like the worse he gets at them. So it's anti-agile. So instead of being anti-fragile, where the stresses, improve the final product, it actually takes it away. So what's the
anti-agile? Okay.
What's the most heart-rending thing you've seen in a person? So I've just described a very unfortunate case. A person who's gone through traumatic things, to say the least.
Yeah.
Have you seen anything in person where it's like a person or something who really tries to do something, but they're just not good at it, and it's it might be their passion, it might be what they love, but they're just so bad at it that it's not going to happen.
I've got one, but I guess it's more serious because the individual had like a definite issue mentally. So I think she had sustained some sort of brain injury a few years ago, let's just say. And before that, she was fine. And while working, she was able to, like, you could tell she was trying so hard to perform at the level that she wanted to. And obviously was, the way she was earning income. But mentally, she just could not do it. Like, she could not hold thoughts. She couldn't articulate things. She couldn't problem solve. So in the end, she ended up getting fired or essentially moved away to wherever she is now. But that to me, I was like, oh man, that's pretty unfortunate when
that sucks.
you can't. But
I take it back, Joey. You've been dethroned.
You've been dethroned. But in other ones, I think that are unfortunate is something that's happening in the news currently, and it might lead into a little bit of another topic I got for today, which is the people who are being locked out of the Bitcoin. Have you heard about this?
No.
Okay, so out there right now, there is all these news articles people might have seen, and it's software developer. He's got 2 password attempts left to get $360 million worth of Bitcoin stuck in a wallet.
Oh, really?
Or there's another one that's like, I've used up 3 of my 5 passwords and I've got $180 million of Bitcoin in his wallet. So pretty much the point of the story of all these guys are they had all these Bitcoins stuck away in a wallet from 2012, let's just say, and now they're like, oh, time to sell it, and they've forgotten their password. I think there's, I don't know, it's like a little bit of a side one, but I'd go,
now
okay,
those
that's an
passwords
unfortunate...
are usually a big long string of numbers.
It's
and
actually,
things,
like
aren't
a key,
they?
like a crypt key, essentially, to unlock it. So, man, but it can also be like a normal password if you've got a more recent, if you purchase Bitcoin and a more recent, then it's just
through
a
a
normal
platform
password.
or something as well,
But still, man, you'd be incredibly annoyed. But I just see it like, oh, that's really unfortunate, especially if they got into, say, Bitcoin really early, knowing what's going to happen, and then just managed to stuff it up because of that. I'd be like, oh, dang. I don't know. Is there others that you've encountered that were trying really hard, or were either ahead of the curve and then just stuffed themselves up?
No, I don't. Not in that particular sense. I mean, there's a couple of times where it's either been me or no, not particularly me, because I don't really get too involved and passionately in things that I really suck at. Like I don't think that's my particular thing. But yeah, I have met people who, they really love chess or something, and you'd be able to just, beat them not having ever played before or something, and then just throwing their hands up. Oh my God, what the shit? Or it's just a natural thing, slacklining or something like that. I'm sure there's someone who has trained forever to get good at slacklining, and then there'll be someone who will just, rock up to it and jump on it, and it's like, oh yeah, you just do this, don't you? Like you walk across it.
They'll be like,
yeah. No, it does remind me though of that. I believe it was a Sesame Street video where the kid's trying to ask a question to Elmo, I believe, and he's like, would you when you went to the would you find and that's how it happened, and then that's like the whole clip where it's he's like super excited, he's really trying to get this question off to Elmo, but he's either super nervous or he himself could have difficulties. You have no idea what's going on. And then he just asked this absolutely nonsensical question.
Elmo was like, fuck are you smoking?
Yeah, exactly.
I got to call you out here. Is Elmo really part of Sesame Street?
Is he?
I don't think so.
What is he?
I think he's a separate thing altogether. I thought Elmo was like on its own.
No, I'm pretty sure.
Someone's going to call me out here. I just don't think Elmo's from Sesame Street.
I'm pretty sure. Well, I've definitely seen him on Sesame Street.
You reckon?
Yeah.
All right, Google this up while I bring us into the next topic, because it's going to be something about news and being recent and whether it's important or not. So recently, if you haven't listened to the Gary Waldon conversation the Karen had with Gary.
Sorry, Juan. Elmo is
a character. There you go.
On the television show.
For some reason, I'm thinking he was like he's got his alone.
No, he's got his own thing. Like there's Elmo's World, which is a full 15-minute segment.
I just didn't think he was on Sesame Street. Yeah.
No, man.
Wow.
He's always interacting with Cookie Monster and shit like that.
Dang. Okay. I only remember Count Dracula, Big Bird, and the Garbage Man.
Yeah.
Dude. Not that I watch much Sesame Street.
I remember watching one where it had the elephant in it, and
Wasn't it Bernie?
I can't remember.
I think it was Bernie.
It was so funny. The one with the big eyelashes.
Yeah. I think it's Bernie.
Yeah.
I think it's Bernie.
And the other, while we're on the topic of funny cartoons, there's this clip I came across last night, or not last night, a couple of days ago, and it's one of the old Skeletor ones. And man, there's something to be said about old misogyny and old racism that can actually be pretty funny. And so this one, it was Skeletor. He's got the princess, and she's being held up by his 2 goons, the Cyclops dude and Beastman.
Yep.
And she's like, "What are you gonna do with me, Skeletor?" He's like, "I'm gonna lock you in my dungeon for ages," or whatever. And then she goes, faints. And then Beastman looks at her and goes, "Skeletor, she's fainted." Then Skeletor, cuts back to Skeletor. Just like a woman. Just went, oh my God. That probably wouldn't fly nowadays, but God damn, it was funny. It was just the juxtaposition between, you know, him being so evil, you expect this like misogynistic piece of shit Skeletor, and he's just got this, you know, ridiculous high pitched voice, just like a woman.
There's things like that, and shows like Tom and Jerry, where, you know, I don't know if you've seen any Tom and Jerry recently. I don't know if there's actually any recent episodes, but, you know, they hit each other, they punch each other, they kill each other essentially. I reckon even shows like that nowadays, they wouldn't fly. They go like, no, I can't do that. It's too much.
Yeah, I'd love to see some, a show nowadays which does the reverse. So it's like, you know, making fun of white people for whatever
even
reason.
That wouldn't fly, I reckon.
No. I reckon there's quite a few shows now that sort of do it, but, you know, maybe like a cartoon version where it has, you know, is solely aimed at making fun of white people.
Right.
I reckon there's probably something going on. I should do some research.
Yeah.
I reckon there would be.
Okay.
I'll have to.
I've not heard of one before, but if there is, okay, that'd be interesting. No, so I was saying before, you had the conversation with Gary.
Yes.
And as part of the conversation, there was something Gary mentioned around, you know, looking at the most recent things about sports, so that, you know, you could have a bit of a conversation. And you were mentioning, you wouldn't even have a conversation.
I don't play that game.
So, and which was interesting. So, and then similarly, I was listening to another podcast of Tim Ferriss with Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Neil deGrasse Tyson. Yep.
And he said something similar where, when he was preparing for interviews or podcasts or anything, he would generally study what they talked about on those podcasts or interviews. So, and he would then learn up on the most recent things so that he could have conversations with their likely audiences, things like that. Why do you think so? I guess in the example when you were talking with Gary about, let's say, sports, if you go to a workplace, you're talking with people who, like, you would know explicitly they do enjoy talking a lot about sports. Would you still do no study about sports and then just not converse with them if you had to hang around with them? Or do you see no value in that at all?
I do that with you guys. You know, you and Steven and you know, some of our other friends, most of our other friends will talk about cars, and you really enjoy cars, and I don't. And, you know, I'm fine sort of hanging on the sidelines for however long that convo lasts, and, you know, sometimes it lasts for 20, 25 minutes, and that's cool. I'm cool just chilling out on the sidelines. I can sort of understand, you know, Tim Ferriss doing it for, well, I mean, he's got a podcast, so it's more like a job type thing.
Oh, well, this was Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Oh, he was doing it. Yeah. Okay. Either case, it's still the same sort of thing. No, I'm not going to force myself, especially when it is, you know, maybe I would, if it got to a point where it was happening every day and I had nothing to add every day.
Yeah.
Maybe I would, but I wouldn't look up individual results of, you know, the last game. Maybe I'd look up the general tactics of what a fullback does, or a wing back, or whatever the hell position.
Yeah, I mean, the question I had that was curious to me was, okay, if you remove it from, because I understand it when you've got familiarity. So if you do it with a group of friends, sure, they could just be talking about something you don't care, but it doesn't matter because you're already familiar, you've already got a connection. What if you, like his example was more, you know, you're at a place where maybe you've got less connection, less social connection, less interaction with the network. At that point, see, for me, I feel like, it would be a good thing for me to learn either what they're going to be talking about or something similar to the topic, so that I can have a conversation that's either with them or the audience that's a little bit more related, or at least connected to something that I would be connected to talking about, to finding sort of like the bridging connection. So, I mean, my example was say chess. If I went to a chess tournament, I don't particularly have any passion for chess tournaments, or chess indeed, nor do I know like any rules beyond like the most basic opening plays and finishing, right? Or like just how the game functions. So there's nothing I could really connect it to it. But I might think of connecting it to, let's say, strategy or learning, or the repetitive nature that is chess as opposed to not doing it, or something that you've read here and there. So I might go in there and study a little bit or read up a little bit about chess so I can make those sort of connections back to something that I am aware of to have a conversation there. But I think going in blank, like what you're saying, with no sports at all, I'd find it, that'd be a little bit too removed. You're almost like not putting in effort if you want to have that conversation with those peers, I guess, or a group.
Yeah, it's a fine balance. I once did a promotional gig for Volvo, and so, you know, I was there and I was meant to help out and whatnot, and I got, you know, sort of almost by voluntary choice or by forcing to operating the VR system that they had going on as part of the experience, rather than being a person hanging around the cars, being able to answer details. Because, I could have memorized the sheet that they gave us of, this is a 4-liter, whatever, and whatnot. But I'm not going to be able to deliver it with the same passion as the other dude who I was working with who actually cares about cars. So, it's a fine balance, I guess, between the two. And I probably would say my balance point is tilting more towards the end of, I'm more willing to not fill my brain with shit I don't care about, but also then, taking the social consequences of that, which is, maybe slightly less interaction, or coming across as, a bit more boring or a bit more unengaging. Yeah. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of that balance of, imagine someone who takes it to the extreme of, nope, I'm only going to have conversations about what conversations I want to have. Like only the topics I want to have. And maybe feeling like that is a positive note, let's just say, and that's helping him out being himself. But then you puts you into such a socially sort of cut off position that you're now not interacting with enough humans, and that's almost a negative aspect to you, and you start becoming, very extreme in whatever nature you want to think about it. Yeah, so I think the balance would be, if I had to put it as something, it'd be a balance of you're still able to have enough social interactions that I guess pushes you to get you out there, but you still have your own voice, not like you're just parroting whatever information you tend to have just to have a conversation with people.
Yeah, it's like another similar topic is calling people out or correcting people's mistakes. Yes, it's useful in some cases, really egregious cases, but you don't want to be that guy. I worked with a guy like this who was just sort of very hard-nosed in terms of things. So if you said something wrong in front of him, he's going to call you out on it. And even if it's just a flippant comment by you, he'll still say, nah, like that's wrong, or are you? And he was pretty blunt about it as well. So working with him was good in some cases because he would call out shit that was wrong. So if we were talking about mining or whatnot, and we were saying, oh yeah, I think this is roughly 60 cubic tons or whatever, and he'd be like, nah, it's 50, and then most of the time he was pretty correct about that. And if he was wrong, he would be pretty accepting of it as well. But then again, it's just hanging around someone like that is not super fun all the time as well.
Yeah, it wouldn't be fun. But did you take it negatively that he was correcting people? Like, say if he corrected you to say 60 and he's like, no, it's 50. Would you have taken that negatively?
I think you can at the start, but when you get to know him as a person, then you're like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I sort of get this what he does.
Even at the face of it though, why? If you looked at it like maybe logically or rationally or whatever you want to call it, why would you really get angry if you are incorrect? I guess we call ourselves out here on the podcast, especially when we go from one podcast to another. We go, actually no, we shared the wrong thing. That was terrible. Why would that be any different if someone told you, actually, no, it's not 60, it's 50?
I'm not even saying it's a bad thing, but no one likes to be wrong. No one likes to be called out as well. Yeah, it's an unpleasant feeling if you're in front of, a big presentation in front of people, or even just in a casual situation and someone's, calling you out on stuff. That's never a particularly good feeling. Not
a good feeling, but I guess the feeling comes from oneself, right? And so is the problem really on them or is the problem on you? I mean, there might be on both. Like I would suggest that maybe they're not as their emotional IQ isn't as great to understand maybe how the person wants to receive feedback or messages and hasn't had the connection. But I think there's on part an issue then with yourself as well, because you're the one having that feeling. Like when people get into arguments and then you're like, oh well, you made me feel horrible. That's not their problem. That's your problem. Yeah, because you're the one feeling that.
Yeah, that's fine, but then you got to look at it from the point of as a whole as well, which is, just because something, you could be totally right. You could be that guy and thinking, why don't I have more friends? I say these things and they should realize it is their problem. That's their problem.
Definitely.
But then then it's your problem as well, because you're not acknowledging that they have these problems, and so you're not adjusting your...
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's problems on both ends. What was running through my mind then was how I sometimes act at work as opposed to how I act maybe socially. And when I'm at work, I'm going to say I side to the person who, if you're saying something that's incorrect, I will call you out 100%, no matter circumstances. With some of the people that I work with, though, are much more related, like connected in the way that I'm more having conversations. So I'm being more social and they kind of understand me. And I've also let them know that, if you're wrong, like I'm probably going to call you out and help you in becoming that, getting better at it or making sure you're doing the right thing. But also if you're not learning, I'm also going to call you out on that.
Yeah.
So an example, if I was at work and someone said, oh yeah, we got to do this. The deployment of it is on the 17th December. I'd say, no, wrong. It's on the 23rd and this is why. And like, I wouldn't, I'm not saying it in like a negative way. I'm just saying it like, you are completely wrong. This is what it actually is. Move on. Like, that's not something to worry about.
Okay. So would you do that in a context where they're saying, I went to Algeria and I saw some of the pyramids there.
No.
And
but no, see, that's not and that's what I was going to say. So not a work context,
well,
it's work and specifics.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, but if it's a more social conversation, where even if we're work people and they're having a social conversation on, I went to Algeria, I went to Egypt and I saw the pyramids and it was a really nice, I don't know, isosceles triangle. I'm not going to say to them, oh, actually, it's not an isosceles triangle. You're an idiot. It's a base pyramid. You wouldn't care. That's just like, okay.
Yeah.
You kind of get the gist of what's going on. And there's definitely a fine balance. So that guy sounded like I would enjoy him at work, but I wouldn't enjoy him in a social life. And that's where you have to have that balance. But some people enjoy having those really hard-hitting people in their life. Like I've got one very close to me who's a super hard-hitting, doesn't hold back on exactly the thoughts of it. And I enjoy that. I think that's a good thing. I don't have it in many other places, which is like, oh, that's really cool. But you also don't want everyone to be like that.
Yeah, for real.
That can be either way. If you had all the people in the world being like that or the opposite way, I think you're going to have some serious issues.
Yeah, true that.
So, any other things you want to meander on?
No, I think I'm pretty good.
Cool. Keep it short. All right, folks. Mere mortals out there, if you've been enjoying the conversations, of course, go back and check out all the ones that 240 plus, whatever it is. Specifically call out, go and listen to Gary Waldon's conversation. Because I epically enjoyed that. And it was, interestingly, the first podcast I've listened to of ours on YouTube.
Okay.
The first one that I've actually gone and I was like, I was listening on Spotify and I went, ooh, I'm going to actually check out the video.
Okay.
I'm gonna see it. I'd love to hear on some comments from people. Do you listen to it? Or do you actually watch the video for watching it purposes? Because it was the first time I actually watched it. So I thought, okay. Not that it was any more exciting. It was just like, okay, let's just change it up a little bit.
Oh, you get different details, so you can see their facial expressions and whatnot.
You do. You get more. So what I was going to say to the mere mortals out there as well, if you haven't checked this out in video and you listen to it audio, go and check out the video.
Yeah.
Because that's where we've seen a lot of people obviously go to the video as well. Got a lot of comments, a lot of people subscribing. So if you haven't subscribed already, subscribe.
Do it.
And of course, share it with a friend. That's the gift that you can keep on giving. So that's it.
Exactly.
That's all for me. Juan out.
Karen out.
Yeah.